Of another shooting in Minneapolis involving federal agents. Now, this is coming a week after the shooting death of Renee Goode inside her car by an ICE officer, and days after confrontations between ICE and the public on American streets. CNN is on its way to the scene as we speak, where protesters are gathering. But just moments ago, we received the first initial Homeland Security account of what happened in this incident. DHS says that officers were conducting a targeted stop involving an undocumented immigrant when the suspect fled. Now, during that struggle, 2 other people came out of a nearby apartment and allegedly attacked the officer with a shovel. DHS says, fearing for his life, the officer fired shots, hitting one person in the leg. The statement does go on to criticize the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, and also the mayor of Minneapolis, accusing them of, quote, encouraging an organized resistance to ICE. The governor tonight issuing a demand for Donald Trump.
Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government. But as bad as it's been, Donald Trump intends for it to get worse. This week, he went online to promise that, quote, the day of retribution and reckoning is coming. So tonight, let me say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, end this occupation. You've done enough.
The Democratic leader of the House is also now warning Trump officials that incitement and engagement of state violence is a crime and, quote, you are hereby put on notice. He was responding to this clip that was being recirculated by the administration today. Listen.
To all ICE officers, you have federal immunity in the conduct of your duties. And anybody who lays a hand on you or tries to stop you or tries to obstruct you is committing a felony. No one, no city official, no state official, no illegal alien, no leftist agitator or domestic insurrectionist can prevent you from fulfilling your legal obligations and duties. And the Department of Justice has made clear that if officials cross that line into obstruction, into criminal conspiracy against the United States or against ICE officers, then they will face justice.
It seems pretty clear that this situation in Minneapolis continues to boil over, and it's gotten to a point where it is almost, you can see that there are so many ways that this could be tamped down, but everything seems to be tamping it up. Where does this end?
I think the scary thing is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, people forget that Donald Trump has now spent $30 billion from the last bill for 10,000 more ICE agents that are going to be on the streets. I find it ironic that we're having this conversation amidst the healthcare debate. That $30 billion would cover all the ACA subsidies for a year. It would eliminate all co-pays for prescription drugs for people from a year and would eliminate all medical debt. It's like he's making it easier to kill people than to keep people alive. And I want people in this country to answer a very, very simple question. What is a better use of money? More ICE agents to terrorize our neighbors or to make people more healthy when 60% of all bankruptcies in this country is due to health-related debt?
ICE tonight went after someone in a targeted act because not only were they in this country illegally, but presumably there was also a crime that was committed. That ICE agent was attacked. This is not terrorizing the community. This is, in fact, precisely what it is that most people, usually at this table, has also conceded is kind of important, where you don't want to just go around and randomly ask people for papers. You compare that to the Gestapo. But now you're saying that going after someone who is a criminal, that somehow is hands-off. We shouldn't be doing that, and that doesn't make a community safer by going after criminals. And at the exact same time, we've got the ICE agent not only being attacked, allegedly by this individual, but also 2 people in the neighborhood. Perhaps we should also take just a moment, pause, and say, you shouldn't do that. That is wrong. That is a quick way to get injured yourself. We can separate out going after someone who is in this country illegally, who is going about their day and trying to contribute to our society. Like, I don't think there's an appetite. I don't have an appetite for that. But I do have an appetite for going after people who are committing crimes here. And this seems to be like the least controversial issue that we should be angry with.
Look, I think that I want to wait until this story develops a little more, because I remember after Renee Goode was shot in the face 3 times, DHS's initial statement was to call her a domestic terrorist And to say that she ran an ICE agent over, which obviously wasn't true. She didn't run the ICE agent over.
ran into him.
So allegedly, right.
Well,
so,
it's on video. We can see.
I mean,
It's come on. I
they
mean,
they claimed that he had to be hospitalized immediately when you literally see him walking around. He doesn't look injured.
Yeah, and the
he
reporting today
left
showed
the
that he had
scene.
internal bleeding
He
and it
left the
was in fact
scene
serious.
after shooting someone in the face 3 times. He got in his own vehicle and left, which, is he supposed to do that? No one's even asked any questions. It doesn't matter. He's not going to be investigated according to the federal government.
He's being
Look,
investigated.
I think when the federal government comes out and essentially tells ICE agents, you can behave however you'd like to, and there are no consequences. What that does is it emboldens individuals who are drunk off their own power and are going to abuse that power. I think it sets a really bad tone, especially in the middle of these escalations.
So let me just read what conservative New York Times columnist Ross Douthat has said about this. He says, I don't think there's a way to establish the normalcy of intense interior enforcement without some concessions to ICE's non-radical critics. Concessions like agents no longer being masked in so many public situations, or operations being slowed and training extended to encourage professionalism and cut down on harassment, or, to Anna's point, allowing a full investigation of any agent-involved shooting before the White House or its agencies denounce the shooter. I mean, he's offering, in essence, a middle ground to this administration, because it seems pretty clear, based on the polling that we have, including CNN polling from today, that a majority of Americans do not approve of Trump on immigration. They do not approve of how Trump is going about these deportations. 52% say he's gone too far. 51% say that cities are less safe because of these operations. The public opinion on this is not in the administration's favor at the moment.
And this is their signature issue. I mean, the Trump administration should be proud of their record, closing up the border, actually stemming the flow of illegal migrants. What they should be doing now is finding a way to defend their reputation. What is astonishing to me is that between Mayor Frey, Governor Walz, President Trump, even Vice President Vance and the rest of the administration, there's nobody that seems to publicly be calling for, how can we ratchet this down? How can we find a way to work together collaboratively on these issues? I get it. You guys have to do your enforcement actions in the city. Fine. Let's talk about a way to do that without getting everyone so animated. I think you can be critical of the administration. You could be critical of Governor Walz if you'd like, and you think he's responsible for some of this, while at the same time not escalating things. We've had federal agents shot and killed and targeted, attacked. We've had American citizens routinely now and repeatedly drug out of cars, having physical altercations. Everyone is upset here and no one is taking a step back. And the administration certainly earns a great deal of the responsibility for that after this tragic shooting took place. And I can say that without giving a complete pardon to Ms. Goode here. But at the same time, while that's true, there is a clear opportunity for the administration to say, we don't necessarily need to do this as intensely. Instead, they surged into the area to show toughness. The theatrical nature of that at this point, and we actually just talked about this, it's not fair to call it theater anymore. Right. This is a ridiculous, ugly display.
A couple of individuals, not just Ross, but also Rand Paul, they're also saying, you know what, the masks should stop. The paramilitary gear should stop. When I look at the videos and I see ICE agents, Border Patrol officers wearing, military-style fatigues in urban environments, what is this really about? Is it about a show, or is it about trying to make the case, as they should, to the American people, that it's important for them to do what they need to do, which is take criminals off the street, not to say to the American people, we're at war with you?
I think blues and dress blues, officer blues would be probably better received by the community. And one of the frustrating things for me is that no one seems to learn anything in this. You know, we're not. ICE is trying to do something that hadn't been done in quite a while, which is interior enforcement. The law calls for it, but they've got to learn as they go, as they've got to improve tactics as they go. Tim Walz and the Democrats in sanctuary cities aren't learning anything. Minnesota, being a sanctuary state for 20 years, is a big part of what created this problem. It's so bad that in Minneapolis, there's a police memorandum that says that Minneapolis police cannot even participate in crowd control when there's a protest at an ICE activity. That's from June 9th. Katie Blackwell, the deputy chief of police. If the Minneapolis police had been on the street buffering between ICE and the protesters, Renee Goode might be alive today. But left-wing extremists passed that. In Congress, you don't see Democrats learning any lessons either. You got members of Congress calling to shut down the government on January 30th, to defund ICE. It's like we're playing the same thing over and over again, and nobody's adapting to results that they didn't want.
You know, I keep hearing about interior enforcement not being done in the past, and that's just not true.
Yeah.
It happened some under Obama, but it did not happen under Joe Biden.
It happened a lot under Obama, and to the point where it happened way more under Obama than it did under Trump, the first term. And we'll see where the numbers land for this second Trump term. But Obama did a huge amount of interior enforcement. And again, I mean, we were talking about this the last time. Republicans keep saying, well, it's because there weren't sanctuary cities then. There were sanctuary cities then.
Yeah.
They were grappling with sanctuary cities at the time. And we didn't see these kinds of, you know, community-wide confrontations.
Well, we didn't have
between
Democrat
ICE
politicians stirring them up because the Democrat in the
Well,
White House was conducting it.
But
you also have to take
acknowledge that there's a
responsibility for
volume
Trump
issue.
stirring
There's
things up
so
too with
much
his rhetoric.
There's so many more ICE officers.
There's so many more
on the
illegal.
streets.
There are
But there
also
are
so-
more
They
people
want them to
in this
be the
country
size of an
illegally.
army,
But isn't it
and now
fair-
they are being. It's being felt by these communities as something that is coming at them, not coming to protect them.
Is it at least fair to acknowledge that under Biden, we had a surge of illegal immigrants coming into this country that does
course, yes.
require a little
But
bit
hold on,
more
but nobody,
enforcement
hold on,
from ICE?
just let me just say about that, because that's also important to distinguish. There was a huge surge of immigration under Biden, of people crossing the border illegally, of people being paroled in through various legal processes. And so I do think there is, though, a distinction between people who cross the border and just kind of sneak into the country and the many people who the Trump administration wants to put in the same category who actually came in through all kinds of legal processes, legal processes that maybe you don't like, but they are still legal processes. And so to then say, well, we're just going to hunt them down and kick them out, I don't know, that doesn't seem to jive with actually how they got here.
A perfect example is snatching people up when they are abiding by the law and showing up to their court dates. I mean, by doing that, you are discouraging others from abiding by the law and showing up to their court dates.
But if the response
so it feels like
to
it's not
that-
really about solving immigration issues. It feels like it's more retaliatory.
The choice to go door to door in the midst of all of this.
Exactly.
Like, that is a deliberate choice that you make. It is a provocation. It's not merely an enforcement action.
If the response to that was the same, or at least making some distinction from the left on when going after someone who's a clear criminal that we all agree should be deported, if there was some sort of at least acknowledgement from the left, from the people who are upset about this, saying, okay, that's what we want.
I mean, I think
we
we've
want
seen some of that.
but we haven't, not really. And if you talk to the folks on the ground who are showing up to the protest, they're making no distinction between those two groups. I think Republicans have to make a distinction between the two groups, the hardened criminal who needs to be deported and the person who's working hard for their community. I think Republicans would be better served in that argument, but also Democrats would be better served in that argument, and they're not making a distinction.